So this is usually the bit where it catches me off by surprise and it suddenly put us live. And has it done it again? We'll find out in a sec. If you're watching this, it went wrong. Okay, cool. I think we are live. Yeah, we're in. It looks like, from my glamorous assistant's face, it looks like it caught us in the green room, hoping we wouldn't go live too early. So, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's live. And I'm joined with Pav today, who I discovered on a Facebook group when he posted one of his edits for a hyperlapse. Now, if you don't know what hyperlapse is, it's like a time lapse on steroids. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm being told to point my mic.
Sounds like the audio's coming from the room, not your mic.
Okay, sounds like the audio's coming from the room. Good spot. This is why you have a glamorous assistant.
That's it, mate.
1 sec. It is. Thank you very much. The audio should be better now. I can edit this bit out. Is it better, Liv?
Wait, yes, I've got that live.
Okay, I'm going to pretend it's better. We're going to start again. Cool. So if you made the live bit, always slick here. Let's start again. Hello. Thank you for coming along to this week's live. Today I'm joined by Pav. Now, Pav is someone I found on a YouTube group on Facebook, which is a thing that exists. This one's a UK-based one, which I actually quite like. And he posted a video to a hyperlapse, which, if you don't know what that is, it's like a time lapse on steroid. And it was just amazing. So I thought I'd love to have him come on and chat about editing. So I'd like you to meet Pav. Pav, just tell us quickly a little bit about what you do, and then we're going to show people this amazing video you made.
Yeah, sure, no worries. So I'm London-based videographer. I'm doing sort of everything corporate wedding-wise, and I've actually got YouTube, which I own a little bit, and got some sort of passion stuff on there, and tutorials, all sort of video related. And that is mainly what I'm doing these days, yeah.
Yeah, so I know your YouTube channel is, we spoke about this when we were sitting in the green room, as I call it. It's a mixture of kind of like tutorials, but also passion projects, as you said. So you actually, you won a short film award, right? With one of the videos that you've got up on here.
Yeah, that was just something that I did as a you know, in my hometown as a passion project, and I put it up online and got some good feedback, and as well a couple of people, because it was London based, they suggested that I enter it here and there, and then I found a website called Film Festival Freeway, which just allows you to just enter into a load of different festivals, and they'll just get back to you every now and again and say, yeah, this one's been you've been selected for this one, you haven't been selected for this one. Oh, look, you've been selected for this one. Then a couple of weeks later, oh, you won this one. And yeah, for one of them I actually did win, which I'm really happy about. And yeah, so it's just one of those things, a little bit of prestige, but I didn't get any money or anything for it, but it's just something like I could just say that, yeah, you know, I entered the festival and I won. So
that's what matters.
Yeah.
Put it on the phone, put it everywhere, on your YouTube site, you know, on your website, you've got an award, and that's what matters.
I know, I need to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
I'm going to show this video that you produced, which I feel like it's one of these things that hasn't got enough credit because it's so good. And it's just like the amount of rubbish that gets suggested to me on YouTube.
So thanks a lot for watching that.
I think you'll agree. That's pretty something special. That Pav, how on earth do you make something like that?
Oh, it's actually all photos. So it's just like approach, take a, and then move in a step, taking another photo over and over again until you've got basically you've got enough photos to create seconds worth of footage. When you put it all together, it's what's known as a time lapse. It just takes. I'm not going to lie, it's just one of those things that you need time to do a whole day shooting, and you only have like 4 or 5 actual shots of like 4 or 5 seconds. So it's a bit mental. Like, you do have to be a bit mental to do it. But the effect's really good because obviously it's like the speeding up of time. So it's not something that you see all the time. Well, you will see that, but as part of a video, you won't maybe see a video made up entirely of that. So yeah, that's this thing that I want to try and create, is like almost like a London on
Yeah.
kind of effect.
London on
Or like
crack.
not steroids, like what's you know.
So
Yeah, that was
it kind of ruined some of the magic for me there. So it's all photos.
yeah, pretty much. You know, it's the actual like creation of it is really dull. um, but it's just it all sort of comes together in editing. So you'll make the hyperlapse, which I mentioned. It's literally just you sort of lining up a photo how you want it to look, and from the technical standpoint is that you'll always have one point that you will always be aiming at. So say you're aiming at a building, you'll always have one point in that building lined up to the grid that's on your camera, and you will always be shooting around that point for every single picture. So say if you're walking towards a building, you would always have that same point lined up to your grid on the actual camera itself, and you'll just keep doing that process of taking a picture, walking forward, taking a picture, walking a step forward until you get to maybe the end. And then when you bring that into editing and you put them all together, it just gives you this sort of like fluid walking forward effect, and it will just be like normal speed video, but everything around it will be just be going crazy because it's time lapse. So people walking fast, clouds moving quickly, and that's the effect that you get from it. And then it's just about taking the time to actually like stabilize it in editing. So there's some good stabilizing tools in your editing software that can help you with that. And then it's about how you want to edit it all together with your transitions. Essentially, that is the process of.
I mean, so
Sorry if I've written that for people.
So your amazing video is actually just a load of photos stuck together.
Yeah, I think it was 95%, but there was like a couple of video clips in there because a couple of places in London where I wanted to sort of set up and shoot. You know how London can be. There can be, if you've got any sort of monopod, tripod thing with you, they're secure to you straight away and start asking if you've got permits. So there was a couple of shots where I didn't really need photos, so I just used video, and it just merged it in, and it didn't really look out of place.
Amazing. So I think one of the things that I find great about that is, because we work in a corporate environment, I know you get involved with corporate video as well.
Yeah.
You can make potentially like a warehouse slowly come to life now with some editing techniques like this. So if businesses are looking for creative videos like that and they're worried that they don't have enough to show off, give Pav a call because he knows how to make things look great.
I think these sort of videos, they can be really popular for like let's say tourism based stuff, or if you're like maybe I don't know if you're showing off like a festival or a theme park or something, with things with a lot of people, a lot of action going on. If you use these techniques, it can just.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. I'm just going to say a quick hello to the guys that have given us their time today. So in the chat room today, hello to Brinton Media. This is Hi Ed and Pav. So hello. Diane Wilson, who's really enjoying.
Yeah, I know, Carlton.
Yeah. And Diane
Yeah.
Diane Wilson, who is loving it. There's also surprised that it's a photo. We've got Simon Ray, who says, looking good, boys. And and TRB, I'm afraid I can't pronounce what's your name, Nugget Alien God. I stream on Twitch when I'm editing. You're in the right place. So, and also Dean Reynolds Media, we couldn't forget him. So thanks for contributing in the chat. If you have any questions or anything, do let us know, as well as Ascent Learning. So Pav, let's get into this and have a little chat about how people who maybe aren't quite on your level of editing and expertise can make their content more engaging. So we had a bit of a chat beforehand, and we wanted to chat about different things that people can do. And if I could just find my sheet wherever it's gone, because I just love to lose everything. Here we are. We had 5 takeaways from today that you thought would help make people make better content. Should we just run over the first? And that was to cut down as much as you can. Do you just want to explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, so like a business or YouTube video standpoint, and you're making instructional things or you're making promotional material, I think obviously you need to just think about your viewer, and you just need to think about everything that you're putting into your video. And a lot of the times when they start out, they'll have a load of footage and they'll just be too afraid to, because it just sort of covers all bases, and it's a safe way to go everything in. But you also need to think about the times that we live in, and people, they have like shorter attention spans than ever these days. So just getting to the point, cutting things out, things that maybe it's if you watch back you edit enough times, you'll start to realize that actually, wait, I've repeated that, but I've sort of repeated that in a different way. And it's just about being really clinical and just saying, right, okay, what do I really need to have in here to tell the story, or give the information that needs to be told, and not about just not just constantly repeating yourself and re-explaining things, cutting out all the little pauses, the ums, the ahs, really sort of just tightening up your edit as much as possible. And I think people, they appreciate that more without even realizing it. Like subconsciously, it's a video that just flows better because it's all those little things have been cut out, and it's just getting from point to point to point, rather than having all the faff, let's say. And it's something that I was like really guilty of in the beginning, was just like, right, I need to just put in everything that I've filmed or said, because more content is better, but it's not always that way. And just getting straight to the point. Also, like I said, not if it's a case of you've got loads of B-roll as well, not letting that B-roll linger on for too long, knowing when to cut certain shots. A lot of it depends on the music you use as well. If you've got fast-paced, upbeat tempo music, you want to have maybe shorter cuts. And if you've got slower music, then obviously you probably want to leave your shots a little bit longer. But yeah, I think you'll start to get a feeling of it when you actually edit it. The more you edit, like
I think
what needs to be in and what you can sort of leave out.
You made an interesting point then, because I remember when I first started doing clients' videos, they were a 2-minute video was always about 10. And they sit there going, how do I get this down to 2? And there's kind of like this feeling of, I've got to get rid of something, but it's all really important. And actually, it's not at all.
I know, yeah.
And it takes a long time.
I had that all the time as well.
It takes a long time. You kind of get attached to things. You're like, don't cut out a good bit.
Big time,
But you kind of have to do it. So, how do you know which bit to cut when there's 5 or 6 really good bits of content, and you're like, I can only have one? What is it you think that makes someone be able to pick that out? What's the best option to get rid of it?
Yeah, like I say, it can be tough because when you're really watching it, I think just having this minutes, but you say, I need to make this 3 minutes because I know that's like the amount that will actually be able to capture attention for long enough, spot their minutes. And you really, it's that saying of like it's a horrible saying, but you say like killing your babies, where you've got like all this amazing stuff, but you really do need to just sort of sift through it and be like, right, I need to get to the main points, because the most important thing is for people to be watching your video all the way through to the end, not having everything in there. And sort of most of the time people will just sort of click off. If it's a 6-minute video and it, for example, the average audience retention is 3 minutes, yeah, you just have to be critical, and a lot of it will come down to as well in your pre-production and your actual filming of it, making sure that you're clear and concise. But when you do come back into editing, it's just about making sure you get points across. And what to cut out, I mean, actual, video that you're making, just having, obviously it makes sense. 6 minutes thing there that you want up until about 5 or 6 minutes, and then it's just about slowly cutting it down, and it can be painful at times, but overall I think it's worth it.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, you probably get asked this a lot. How long should a video be? Which is like one of those questions that's how long is a piece of string. How would you generally answer that? Say if it was a corporate video.
So I think for a corporate business type video that, let's say, is made for your website, I would say between 1 and 3 minutes. Probably don't want to go over 3, because I think there's some stats going on about that being the sort of sweet spot. And then obviously you've got platforms like Instagram, which again, I think before they only let you up to 1 minute, but now I think you can do 1 minute, but you can do like segments, can't you?
Yeah,
so you can do like a few multiple different,
and you can use Instagram.
Yeah, you carousel,
so
yeah, exactly.
What happens is they say
again,
do short.
Again,
go on.
So yeah, again, I mean, probably stick to around about 1 minute. That is sort of quick consuming content on there, and yeah, for those probably similar for Facebook, around about 1 minute, just grabbing people's attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, just for that kind of content, promotionally, I would say that's the sort of sweet spot. And then if it's instructional tutorial videos, I think on YouTube, I think about 6 to 8 minutes can be good, depending on how quick the tutorial or the instructional video needs to be. But you probably don't want to be going up over more than 8 minutes. But in saying that, my sort of videos and tutorials, they always seem to go on like over 10 minutes.
Well, they want,
and I think
videos,
there was,
yeah.
I think it's for the ad revenue actually, is for 10 minutes, isn't it? But I think that's come down now to 8, right. So even better.
Well, they want people watching for longer. So cutting down as much as you can is kind of what editing is, really. So that's definitely an important one.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the next thing we discussed was putting basically some of your best bits at the start of a video. Now, a lot of the stuff that you do is quite cinematic, and you also take care of wedding videos as well. Yeah. So does that still relate in pretty much every kind of video that you do about trying to get something good at the start?
I really think so. It does now more than ever, because like to do with the attention rates, and we're just so, with the scroll on with our thumb, we're just so ready there, like the trigger to just sort of need to scroll to the next thing if there's something that doesn't grab your attention. So yeah, I think even if it's like a wedding video, or if it's a business type video, or a tutorial instructional video, something, you need to have, I think, something there in the first 30-40 seconds that just sort of really grabs the viewer's attention. So that's when you probably want to be putting in some of your best bits, or your best footage, or the best moments from the actual video, almost as in like a little mini trailer, a good sequence of shots. And then that automatically will buy you a bit more time with the viewer, because if there's something there that takes their eye, they'll want to eventually wait to the point in the video where they'll get to that. If it's a tutorial, for example, you want to show the end result of what they will be making eventually at the beginning. That's really important, because if it's something that they really like the look of, they'll definitely stick around.
It's like a tease.
A wedding. Yeah, exactly. A tease. Exactly. It's 100%. Because same with wedding videos now. It's like if you are trying to promote to other couples out there, something I always used to do in the beginning was just start off the day at the beginning of the day, show the slowly move into the main part of the day. But now I'm noticing that the more viewer attention you'll get is when you'll show like a quick little montage of some of the best stuff, some of the fireworks, some of the, all that kind of stuff right at the beginning. And then it's like, oh, okay, wait, that looks really good. I want to see how that sort of panned out, and I want to see how it looked. And then, you can take that into, let's say, business. If you're making some sort of business video, and you'll just put out some of the best parts of the video, like some amazing stats, like, oh, this is how I made £10,000
Last week's live
in a day or whatever, and then it's like, oh wait, that seems a bit spammy and a bit markety. But if it's part of your video already in there, just get it out there in the beginning, because you just want to grab someone, you want to hook them in. That's really important, I think. Like, and it's something that took me a while to realize, that you don't want to just keep all like best footage for later on, because you're like, oh, prize them really good stuff to that point of the video. They might just click off even before they get to that point.
So don't have any fear.
So have a bit of a mix and match.
Okay, yeah. That's good advice. So the next thing we spoke about was music. Now, this can be interesting, especially in our environment.
Yeah.
We've had people request before and say, can you put this in our corporate video? And it's been like German hardcore trance from the 90s. And we've had to sort of say, it's not quite right.
Yeah, it's difficult to be able to separate that. Like the music that you like personally, that actually fits your video, that's editing. You really need to separate those
so
two things.
How do you pick the track? Do you pick the track first and then edit around that, or do you pick the track last?
Depends, to be honest. I would say generally I would pick the track after the footage. I've shot the footage, but every now and again, because I like to do this thing where I have a subscription to a couple of music websites that I use quite often, which are Artlist and Epidemic Sound. And every now and again, I will kind of, especially for let's say for a reason, I will sit down and create like a play. I will just listen to a lot of music, create like a playlist. And I might stumble across a track that's just completely useless for weddings, but I could put it into another folder that's like amazing for, let's say, a corporate video, or the video that I made recently, like the hyperlapse or something. So something that I could envisage myself using that in the future. And there's been times where a music track has even driven a video that I've made. So it can go around that way as well, but it's probably less frequent. More often than not, it's a case of I'm trying to choose footage that I know will mix in well with my footage.
Yeah. So what about kind of like to camera vlog content, presented stuff, tutorials? How do you think people should use music in that, or do you think they shouldn't?
I think they definitely should. It's just, you just need things in there that if there's talking head segments, if there's speeches, vlogging to the camera, things like that. So obviously the main thing is talking to the camera, so you want to make sure that you're hearing that clearly, so you don't want to have them. That's something that I've seen in people that are putting in music that's got maybe too many overpowering lyrics. I generally like to stay away from lyrically driven music unless it's a music video that's using lyrics. Just because, otherwise, if you are talking over the top of it, it all mixes in together and you can't really one or the in. Staying away from that, just have maybe instrumental music, and the personal preference and taste. But from my knowledge is if your video is mainly talking head and it's more about listening to the actual person who's talking in the video, then I just don't really see the point in having like crazy upbeat music in the background, electro style pop music, because like it's just distracting, isn't it, really? So need to think about that. But again, it's personal preference. But I just know that for viewers in general, like I've seen comments in the past on videos that are like, oh, the music's terrible, turn it down. It's like this crazy EDM music in the background. It's just not appropriate. Like, so something that's just quite ambient, instrumental. Maybe it's got a good beat to it, but not just crazy beat. I don't know.
And you think
that's the kind of thing I would go for talking head?
The music needs to be royalty free, especially on YouTube now, where the copyright system's so good and tracked. What were the platforms you recommended for anyone who wanted to get royalty free music?
Yeah, so I'm using Epidemic Sound and Artlist, which are really reasonably priced, to be honest. I think they're within the sort of £10 to £20 range a month, which, considering you can get loads, like as many tracks as you want from there and as many sound effects, and you can use it on any videos, that's pretty good. There's other more expensive. Yeah, it's really good value. And I think you mentioned you use Soundstripe. That's another really good one. Music Bed's really good amongst wedding people. I think Music Bed is really good because they have a lot of really good sort of wedding-y type music, and but it's more expensive for a subscription. But yeah, there's loads out there, and there's probably even some good free ones, but I haven't really used them.
So I thought the next thing we can move on to is your fourth point, which was transitions. Now, in case anyone doesn't know what transition is, I'm just going to demonstrate this now by changing screens between me and Pav, and that's known as a slide transition. Which I don't know if you can see this, Pav, but it sort of animates the slide. So how shouldn't people use transitions? Start there.
So I think I generally think that people shouldn't be using the drag and drop transitions that you get, let's say, within your software. Maybe like a cross dissolve is okay. It's fine, like, just dissolving from one to the other. And the other sort of preset transitions you can get that sort of whip in and out and do all this crazy stuff. I have used them in the past. So I'm just saying
we're all guilty,
and people have. Yeah, exactly. And over time, it's been one of those things where people have sort of said to me that they just don't look good. They're cheesy and everything like that. And I kind of feel bad because I'm like, well, I paid for it and I want to make the use of it. But it's true. Like, I think it's one of those things where it's really easy to use them, like, because you just literally drag and drop them on, and you'll get a transition where something sort of, the next bit of footage sort of drops in from the top or comes in from one side or like fizzles out or something like that. But it does look a bit sort of cheesy a little bit. So yeah, it's difficult to make a good case for those sort of transitions. Yeah. So I would say, generally best ones are the ones planned out in advance that look pretty seamless. The ones that are done in camera, let's say whipping from one side to the other and then using another whip from one side to the other to try and merge those two together seamlessly, rather than actually trying to force it with a drag and drop transition preset in post or a crazy zoom in transition. And like I say, I'm guilty of this kind of thing in the past, and probably I still am, to be honest. People still say like your video is good, but you do a couple of transitions, they look a bit cheesy. It's like, okay, you got to take it on the chin. It's not to everyone's taste. It's one of those things.
Think, you're a real editor when you start to use transitions in real life and you go between like Wayne's World.
You do?
Yeah, when I leave the room, I'm off to show people I'm going to transition. So are there any transitions you think that are ones that there's some staples, and it's like, if you're going to use a transition, there's 3 that I'd recommend, or none?
No, I mean, I think like I'm one of those person who really likes transitions, and I will try to experiment as much as I can with them. There's some people out there who absolutely hate them, and they'll just say, no, just use a cut. Cut is fine. Like don't like, all right, fine. Like, obviously cuts, they're more appropriate. But there's times when I think a really good seamless transition is one where you almost don't even realize until a couple of seconds after, and you're like, oh wait, I've just transitioned into a new scene. I didn't even. Oh wait, and then how did he do it, and that kind of thing. And the ones that I would sort of recommend, they're not the easiest to do, because you probably need to sort of start to look into how, let's say, masking works in Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro, whatever it's stuff you use. You'll usually have like a mask tool, and that's probably one of the main used tools, to be honest. And a lot of good transitions are really tedious to do because they take a lot of time. They take a lot of frame by frame masking. Rotoscoping as well, which is another form of masking that comes into, if you're going into After Effects and becomes a bit more complex and a bit harder on your computer. But generally, it's just like, if you can do them in camera, that's brilliant, because it will just take you no time at all in editing. If you can plan them out beforehand as well, like let's say you wanted to do a transition from a TV from outside into a TV, for example, for whatever reason, like even in corporate video, that can look good, because let's say you've got a talking head and you're transitioning from some B-roll of like an outdoorsy location, you're transitioning from a B-roll from like a showroom, and there's a TV, and then suddenly a talking head appears, and then you move into that talking head, and then that person starts to talk. that can even work. And that's something, if you know beforehand, you can pop a green screen into the TV, because then later on you can know that you can green out and put whatever you want. And that just comes in with planning.
You did a great one in your video that was from outside of a cab, I think, into the cab.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is brilliant.
With I mean, it's just something that actually, with that particular transition, I knew that I was going to be going into the car, but I didn't think about coming out the other side. So that was a kind of, I thought about it in post, and I kind of forced it a little bit, but it did work. And I would say about 80% of the time, I'm trying to really plan out now the transitions that I'm doing, and about 20% of the time I'm finding them in post, let's say, and I'm finding them in the edit where I'm like, oh, maybe I can transition into the next shot doing this. I think that's a good way to go around, because if you're planning them out beforehand, they'll generally take less time in post as well and be less frustrating.
So transitions, this has fired up some some comments in the comment box here.
All right.
I think this is a good point. It's sometimes it's a less is more thing when it comes to transitions. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So
yeah, people have said that. People have said that to me a lot as well. Like, you know, I've had comments in the past, and I take that on, and it's good feedback to know. And people have said, you know, like, just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to keep doing it all the time. But then there's times when you can use them. There's times when you don't want to use them. Like, for example, in a lot of client videos, I don't use them that often, because, you know, you need to think about the client, and you think about the audience that you're making the video for. But if there's something that I'm doing for myself, and let's say like the last video was overall, it was an experimental video, because I didn't really have a plan going into it of how it was going to go. I just experimented, and a lot of the transitions came out in an experimental way, and a lot of those I could probably, if I wanted to, because I have actually tried them and practiced them, and that's a good thing also.
I think it's, you know, often corporate video in particular is incredibly dull. So to throw, you get sent to a lot of locations that are dull as well. So to have something like that, obviously, that you could bring it to life is great. During that, when you were talking, I asked some people what they edit on. So I thought we'll just go on a quick tangent here. So you've had someone saying Camtasia. Simon said Premiere Pro badly, which isn't. That's not a separate version. It just means he's bad at it. And DaVinci Resolve, DaVinci Resolve, which is popping up more and more at the moment. I downloaded it the other day and was supposed to use it to edit some vlogs and forgot. And then again, Premiere mostly. What should people be starting on if they're serious about editing? So, you know, by that I mean, you know, you can start on Camtasia and things like that. What software do you think is the next step up? Should they be jumping straight into Premiere Pro, or should they go to like iMovie or something like that?
I think now they should probably. I think DaVinci is the way to go, probably, if you're up, because it's free. So that's the best.
Yeah.
You've got nothing to lose with DaVinci. There's a bit of a learning curve. The color grading is industry standard color grading software. So it's like, if you're not into color grading, you're not bothered, whatever, that's fine. But it's like literally the best software to use for color grading. So there's that. And also they've just really, really improved, you know, that the actual editing, the sort of NLE actually within DaVinci. And a lot of people jumping into that just because it's free, and get serious into it, just jump into that, because Premiere Pro, as good as it is, starting out now, probably wouldn't be using the Adobe. It's just that I'm so invested in anything I do, Premiere Pro, After Effects, Audition, Photoshop, all that stuff. I'm so into that I just I'm going to find it really hard to leave, even though it's costing me quite a bit. It really is. Like, and then if you're Pro, I think on Apple computers, you know, in terms of it performs with 4K or higher footage, it just, if you've got a MacBook Pro or an Mac, it's going to work really, really well with Final Cut Pro, because they're just sort of, you know, Final Cut Pro is an Apple product, and that's just going to be a one-off payment as well, so it's not as much of a hit as Adobe. Adobe is the most expensive, so I mean, you're going to be on you're not going to have the Final Cut Pro choice if you're within Windows. I don't think. So. If you're on Windows only, then I guess your choices really are DaVinci, which is free, or paying loads for Adobe. And I would go down the DaVinci if I'm on Windows. Yeah.
I've just been trying to get up the screenshot for DaVinci Resolve, but was doing it in the wrong window for everyone to see. So I've just been looking at the back end of YouTube Live, which might be interesting to you if you've never seen that before. But DaVinci Resolve is like, for anyone that doesn't know, there's a free version and there's a paid version. The free version is
there's a paid version.
Well, I mean, if to edit kind of like the sort of YouTube videos I do, you don't really need to upgrade, like ever.
No.
And
it's really good enough.
Some of the features they've got in there, like if you say, for example, let's say Pav's video we showed at the beginning, you could drop that into a timeline and press auto cut, and it will cut the thing into loads of clips every time the camera has changed scene. So if you ever lose your work, you can just put it in the file that's edited and chop it up and start again. It's got all of these features. I was looking at going, oh no, part of me's thinking maybe I should move, but I'm going to start trying to edit on the free one. But for free,
a lot of people are moving across now. A lot of people are making the time, especially now with the more free time that we have. A lot of people have taken this time to say, right, I'm going to stop. I think because Adobe is a lot of people over the years with bugs crept into, let's say, the updates, the crashing. That's been videos out there now comparing the two softwares, and a lot of people saying, but I think DaVinci's free, that people sort of let that slide.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're paying for a software and it crashes, you get really frustrated. Whereas if a software is free and it crashes, you kind of just say, oh well, it's free anyway.
It's kind of hard to know as well, because you do need quite a decent computer these days to edit footage on. So they can blame the software, but actually the computer might be letting them down anyway. So
true.
If
very true.
You can try DaVinci for free. Diana in the comments says she's been using it for 4 years. Which is amazing. She must have seen it develop a lot in that time.
Really?
I remember getting it free with a Blackmagic cinema camera that I bought about 5 years ago, and that was part of the deal.
You can get free copy.
Resolve of it, and I never used it. Maybe I should have done. So on to the last section, out of the 5 things to sort of make better video, we've written, use as much B-roll as possible. Always better to show as well as tell. So talk us through B-roll. Just explain what that is to someone if they've never even heard of B-roll too.
So this is the shots that you will see that will tie into, let's say, the talking head segment of somebody's talking about a particular car, be shots of that car. Yeah, that's basically what the B-roll will be. Whatever the person is talking about, it will then show you the actual thing that they're talking about.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is, and that's why I think it's really, it sort of ties into filming as well. This point of I know we're talking about editing, but it's about having enough B-roll to be able to put into your videos. And if you have got that B-roll, it's about knowing how to edit it in as well. And there's an argument as well, like you shouldn't be constantly showing the same sort of shots. You should have a good variety of shots that you're showing. And if you don't have enough B-roll, for example, you should still be trying to show as much as you can, in terms of you can perhaps get videos from like another, somewhere else. You can screen record other videos, and obviously give credit to the video itself, and use that as B-roll. You can use images and use diagrams with, let's say, arrows pointing to certain. That I think just having somebody sitting there and talking is not as powerful as being able to show things that they're talking about as they're talking, if that makes sense. It's one of those things as well, subconsciously you will realize that you're enjoying a video much more because the person is using a diagram to explain, let's say, how they wanted a particular room to look like, a design of a room, like this furniture is supposed to go over here, and they'll use a overhead diagram that they've painted up, rather than just sitting there and explaining and talking to the camera, which is fine, but it will always be better for you to have show materials basically, and it's as much B-roll as you can in your videos.
It's kind
of beneficial.
It's what makes like vloggers, in the sense that, you know, the people that capture their daily life. What makes their content so interesting, because there's always a lot going on. It's like they're talking to camera in a different place all the time, and they're showing clips that go over the top, and it kind of pulls you in. It is a lot harder to do on the educational side of things. What are your thoughts on places like Shutterstock for stock footage banks? Are they good enough?
I actually used one clip from Shutterstock actually in that last video that I made, because I wanted to get a shot of a corridor to link a couple of shots together, and I just couldn't get inside anywhere because of lockdown. But otherwise I would have just gone out and like filmed that. But yeah, I couldn't get inside anywhere, so I just went on Shutterstock, looked corridor, and I was a bit underwhelmed in terms of like the shot selection that was there. And it's £60 for a HD clip and 140 quid for a 4K clip. So just buying the clip by itself, in some ways it can be like, if you've got a budget, but if you've got a good budget, in some ways it can be cheaper to footage and use that in your video, then have pay somebody, you know, a day rate to go out and shoot some stuff for you. It can still work out, but even though it is £140.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think out of it, you really want to be using it quite a lot, and like a yearly subscription rather than buying like individual clips.
Yeah. We use Storyblocks quite a lot. I think.
Oh right, okay.
I don't know if you've seen that, but it's like a couple of hundred.
How much is that?
$200-300 a year. But I mean, I use it daily.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
The clips are getting better as well.
Brilliant.
But for like you said, you know, a lot of the stuff we make on YouTube is just us talking, and adding text takes a long time. So sometimes it's really good just to try and pull people in with that. So Artlist do one as well now, actually, that looks pretty good, and you can grade that as well. Especially if you've got Da Vinci Resolve and make it look really pretty.
Yeah, to be honest, if you look at it from that point of view, if you're a corporate person who's regularly putting out, like, if you've got a camera set up in a nice area of your studio and you do your talking head, and then you don't really have to worry about the B-roll too much, because you could just go on one of these, you know, these websites for stock footage, and you can just find pretty much everything that you need to be able to use as demonstration B-roll to put over the top of your talking head, and it's just much better. So that could even be a really good route to go down if you're constantly making videos like you said you're doing, and you need little quirky bits of B-roll that you want to put in there just to liven things up.
You know, a little bit abstract sometimes, but if you can do, if you're into, you know, you've got masking and other editing ability, there's actually quite a lot you can do with it. I think value-wise, it's really good value. Story blocks? Yeah, for $300 a year. That's really good. I shouldn't be saying that, because I asked if I could become an affiliate, and they said no. And then I also asked if I could contribute footage, and they said no, I wasn't good enough.
Oh really?
Yeah, mate, you should go on there.
Have they got a really high standard?
It's even more disappointing. I didn't even use my footage, so it wasn't me. It was the others letting me down. But I don't know what they were looking for. I just sent them my showreel and said, you know, I think they want models dressed up, typing on computers and stuff. Anyway, I don't need you, Storyblocks. So.
One day, and then you can turn them down.
I'll be too big time then. Just to say hi to Rob, who's dropped in, and Pixie Dust Traveller, and Simon earlier, who said Homer Simpson is a fan of the star wipe transition. I'm trying to remember it, and it's in my mind that the I think it's the side to side transition he does when he's done something naughty.
I've used it.
Yeah, it's the escape route. It's either that or the from Wayne's World.
The Batman transition.
Simon's actually asked, do people make a living out of filming custom B-roll? That's the question. 100%. Yeah.
Oh, that's the question. Yeah, for sure. Like, I know people that have made like really good money from like going out and making. I mean, especially if you've got a good camera, because, you know, like if you've got like a really high-end camera and you want to find a way of paying it back, let's say you've got like a Red Epic or something, just having that like sort of crazy high dynamic range 8K footage and going out and just filming a road, and then saying like, yeah, I've got it in 8K, like that, you're probably more likely for them to accept it. Money.
There's 12K now.
You'll make it.
Blackmagic
Okay,
just
oh my
released
God,
their
it's
12
mad.
mini Ursas.
How much is that? How much is that going to cost?
Well, it's Blackmagic.
Like 500, 600 quid for a clip.
Well, who's using this? Because the files are so flipping big. I mean, I don't even like shooting in 4K. I imagine you do, but
I know, yeah.
I'm barely even in HD. I've still got my own camera with the wind-up
The
thing.
The Sony 4K is like manageable because the bit rate's not that high.
Yeah.
But like when they're going to be out these like Canon cameras with the 8K and the high bit rate 4K, the file sizes are just huge, man. It's like, well, you're going to need like so much space to even just store it all.
I think it's people get excited by it, don't they? But I think anyone who's making YouTube videos and they're not making money from selling video production shouldn't, because if you shoot in 8K, your computer needs to handle it and your storage needs to handle it and the file transfer, and it's not just the computer you need, so it can just go totally out of hand. So we're just going to move over. I'm just going to host the questions now, see if there's a slight delay on this, so this is always super slick, just to see if there are any questions in the comment box about editing that people have. I'll just have to wait a few seconds just to see if anything pops up. But what was it, whilst we're waiting for, someone says don't even go there, hard drive's going mad. What was it that you yourself started editing? How did you get into all of this?
So the way I my friend Sofian, he's someone who I worked with in a restaurant here in London, and he was working at film school, and basically he sort of wanted to come down and help with some of his student projects, and then that turned into him passing on a couple of projects to me that he didn't want to edit, and I edited them. And it just became one of those things where like I then bought I remember I bought a MacBook Pro 13 and got Premiere Pro, sort of getting obsessed with it because I was like, wow, like it's so much better than what I can't remember what I even started off editing with, but it was something really crap. Like maybe like Windows Movie Maker or something like that.
Which is now dead.
Back in the day. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, having like Premiere Pro and then like the world of YouTube where it's just like endless amount of, you can just search for anything you want in there and find out how to do stuff. And I was like, okay, let me do this. And then it was like, okay, I'm starting to run out of footage and I wanted to try and sort of film some stuff. Started getting into filming so that I could actually just start to like in Premiere Pro or After Effects, create whatever I could. It was just a genuine interest of like how I can do this. How can I use a green screen? Wow, look, it's amazing. Like I'm using a green screen, but like in such a bad way, like keying out the green. Like for me, it was just like madness, like all these things that you can do. So it was just, it just became a bit of infatuation. And then eventually it sort of just snowballed into me sort of leaving the previous occupation that I had and then working with Sofian to start a business in video. And it was kind of like, now I'm going to start offering video services, and that's hopefully going to evolve into my career. And it's just a snowball effect really. But it was just genuinely like the fact that I was really interested in actually editing and just keep going. I know some people absolutely hate it. I actually don't really even like editing in a way that like if you give me a load of footage that someone's just shot and say like go and edit it, it doesn't interest me because I'm like, well, I like to shoot as well, and hopefully that I'll stick with that, because I think it really into doing video, it's really the thing that can make your video great. Like I mean, like if you can film good stuff, obviously that's really important, but like when you come into editing, it's like you can add all your own little things, and you can that's where really like the video comes together.
Like
obviously like there's some very obvious thing to say, but
that's the way I look at it. We've got a question here from Yoga with Liv, who says, where can I find pre-made transitions and overlays? The ones on Final Cut are quite limited and dull. So she didn't hold back any punches.
No, I don't know. Like the ones usually in the softwares, they're pretty standard, and once you've used them a few times, you're like, right, I don't want to use them anymore. But I think there's a few good paid ones out there. I think there's one pack that I bought, and it's called what's it called again? Really awesome. I think it might just be even called like really awesome video transitions or something like that. But I can't remember where I got them from. But honestly, like there's if you just search what's it called, motion.
Oh, motion VFX.
Motion VFX, that's one of them. Yeah, I think.
I think the problem we had, we were talking about this before, weren't we? And we were saying that the problem with buying them is that you end up using them.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Or it just makes you feel like you have to use them all the time, and especially like if you buy a big pack of them, it's like you get loads of different ones, and you're like, oh, let me try this one on this clip, and then oh, I've already tried that one. I'm going to try another one here, and it just starts to become a bit mishmashy. But yeah, if you do want to just, and like there's loads of sort of free packs out there even as well, like people who are getting into making their preset transitions. Obviously, if they're not well established, they'll start putting up a few free ones that are really good. A lot of the top YouTubers, like the YouTube editors, probably like Peter McKinnon and all those sort of packs on their stores that have like transition packs and things like that, or whatever else they offer, LUT packs, sound packs, all those kind of things. But generally, Google, like you'll find some stuff. The first page of Google, you'll find all the most popular ones. I'm assuming. I don't use them, but
no, it makes its own. Okay, Pav, we're gonna bring things to a conclusion now. Thank you very much for coming on, and thank you everyone who spent the time to come and sit and watch this live. As we know, time is the only commodity you can't replace. So you gave me a bit of your life, and I'm thankful. What a weird way to end the show. Pav, where can people find you? Yeah,
so on YouTube, just type in my name, Pav Guliani. Google, the same. Instagram.
I'll put a link in the comments for Pav's YouTube if you want to check out some of his work and some of his vlogs as well. And business-wise, you're interested in working with who?
I'm interested in working with sort of brands, corporate videos, and obviously I do weddings as well, wedding clients, and that's my main niche when it comes to that.
Yeah, brilliant. So yeah, if you need any of the above, check out Pav, and he'll be able to help out. All right.
Thanks a lot,
Cheers,
mate.
guys, and thank you very much for watching. Take care. And there we go. I've ended the stream. Yeah, nice one.